welcome to One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine Extra. I am sorry, guys, for the little delay here. I got my man on here tonight, Chief Gary Hill of Lincoln University, and he's been patiently waiting to come on here as I have tried to figure out what was going on with the technology. So you know what I have to do in situations like that? I call my technology people. I called my daughter Katie out in Colorado and she got us set back up and ready to go. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to go ahead and get Gary on here right now before he decides to leave on me. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Hey, Kurt. Good evening.
Thank you for being patient with me. We talked a little bit about being technologically challenged, and that's what was happening right there.
Hey, but you figured it out, so that's all that matters.
That's because I have a daughter that knows how to do that. That's awesome. I know you've got some people that'll help out with that too, right?
Oh yeah, if it was left up to me, I still have one of those Nokia block phones.
That's great. Hey, thank you for joining us tonight. You know, I've been wanting to have you on here for a while and to have you talk a little bit about uh, the police department at Lincoln University as well as the police academy that you helped establish and get started. If you want to just start off with uh, the route to getting to Lincoln as far as the being police chief there, I'd like to hear about that as well as I know our listeners would like to do that as well. So go ahead.
Sure. So of course I graduated from Lincoln University with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. So that to me, being able to come back here to my alma mater and be chief is amazing. Um, for many of you all who are listening, I ran for sheriff in 2016. Lost to a good friend of mine, John Wheeler, who's the sheriff now, and he's doing an excellent job as sheriff. And so I was slated to be chief deputy at the time, and then Lincoln University was looking for a police chief. So I went home and talked with my wife about it, uh, and she's always a great supporter of anything that I ever want to do. And I interviewed for the position, and I was selected to be the chief of police for Lincoln University in 2016. As I came on board here at Lincoln University, my goal was I thought it would be a great idea to have a police academy here on campus. And the reason being is because we used to try to recruit minorities from Lincoln University at the sheriff's office, I know Jefferson City Police Department, Missouri State Highway Patrol, just to increase the minority footprint in law enforcement.
Mhm.
So I went to the president and I said, hey, this was starting with Dr. Rome. I said, I would like to start a police academy here at Lincoln University. And throughout the four presidents that I've worked for at the time, each one of them has kind of given me the go ahead to get the program started. President Woolfolk uh, saw the light in it as well in her tenure and as well as John Mosley, who's the president now, and she gave me the funding to be able to start it. So I started our police academy with $50,000.
Wow.
That was our initial budget, and that was just for us to be able to pay the instructors, and that's it worked out for us. This wasn't a money making deal. This was uh, for us to be able to again increase the minority footprint in law enforcement for our local law enforcement agencies. I had no idea that the partnerships and friendships that I've made along the way in my 26 years of law enforcement, how critical that was going to be in getting this police academy started.
Hmm.
So
That
once we got, go ahead.
no, that's talking about that. I mean, we were sharing a little bit about how you didn't even really realize that this wasn't going on anywhere else. That what you're doing is the first one in the United States.
So out of there are 107 HBCUs, and what HBCUs are historically black colleges and universities that were founded for black people after the Civil War and after the slave were freed so that they can get equal education. Out of that 107 HBCUs around the United States, only 53 of them, if my count is correct, have criminal justice systems,
Mm.
criminal justice programs. And so my goal was to reach out to those programs around and see, how they're running their law enforcement academies. And of course, we found out that no other HBCU had a police academy on their campus. And we found that out by just, going around trying to figure out, not not trying to recreate the wheel. So now a lot of the HBCUs are calling us and asking us, how did you guys do it? What kind of partnerships did you have to establish? And so it has been absolutely wonderful. Last week, I met with the City Council member Jones and the City Council of Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Police Department and our sister HBCUs, Lincoln University of Pennsylvania and Cheney University are both HBCUs in the state of Pennsylvania. So I met with them and laid out the floor plan as far as how we did here, and they're trying to mirror the program at those HBCUs
Mhm.
there. So
That's
everything
amazing.
is happening so fast, I can
I, f-
barely keep up.
I feel like I should get your autograph. I mean, you're like everywhere. There's people coming to see you from everywhere. You're going all over the place. You're like an ambassador, really, and that is great because you are like an ambassador for the university and being able to not only establish something here, but also being able to take that knowledge and take those opportunities and make that awareness all across the country. I love it. It's a great thing you're doing, Gary.
Well, thank you. And, not just an ambassador of Lincoln University, but Jefferson City. Jefferson City is the longest place I've ever lived before in my life. Both my parents were in the military, so we lived in probably about 26 different states in two different countries. I
Wow,
came up here to go to school and loved Jefferson City. I raised my family here, and so I enjoy being an ambassador for the city as well. So thank you.
that's great. And not only that, you've got a great haircut. I like it. I don't know. I just
You
have.
know,
Go ahead.
I had hair. I used to have hair, and those that have known me for a long time know that I didn't start losing my hair until I started getting promoted.
Okay. Kind of works that way for some reason, doesn't it? I don't quite get that, but it does. Uh, Hey, why don't you share a little bit about your family? I've known you for a long time, and maybe some people don't know about your family, but why don't you share a little bit about them and how important they've been and the supporting role?
Oh, absolutely. So, me and my wife, we've been together going on right at 19 years now, and we've been married for 15 and a half of those. And both of us came into our relationship as a blended family. She had a son who was 4 at the time, and my daughter who was 8 at the time, in which we started seeing each other. So she's originally from Eldon, Missouri, and I'm originally from Muskogee, Oklahoma. So we're two different from two different dynamics. And so we got married, and then after about a year, 2 years after we got married, we had a daughter together, and that is Gabriella Grace. She currently goes to Lighthouse Prep, and she's she's the light of our life. She's a really good dancer. So we spend a lot of time together going to her dance competitions. That's probably about the only time that we can all get together as a family because of our time schedules. My wife currently owns Heads Up Spa and Salon, which is a salon over off of Jefferson Street. Have for several years, and again, we love our nice little picket fence town in Jefferson City when the lights start blinking at 7 o'clock.
That's right. I would have never understood that, but after living here for the amount of time, I really like that. I really enjoy it being this type of community. So, talking about it being a hub as the state capital, but yet still keeping that small town feel. Um,
Yes.
have there been any challenges for you on campus as far as uh, getting the awareness out in the community, or has everybody been pretty receptive and um, supportive as far as being able to help you move this forward?
When we started, we did not know what kind of support we were going to get because remember the George Floyd incident had just happened, so we had
Hmm.
no idea of what kind of support we were going to get for this program. So once we got it started and once we started getting the word out there, this is what we were doing. We could not believe the amount of support, especially from the Black community, that we received to get this program started. Because make no mistake about it, law enforcement, regardless of what people see on TV and the news and things like that, is still a very honorable profession.
Hmm.
And so we're able to teach that here at the academy, and then we always keep it open to the public to the sense where if they want to talk to me or meet any of the recruits and ask them, why they want to be in law enforcement. we make it open to them. And so the support from our community has been wonderful.
Hmm.
Uh, we have certain people around in the community that support this program so much that they offer personal scholarships. We have
Wow.
families in our community that are willing to pay the entire tuition for someone to go to the police academy. And as far as Kansas City, Colorado, where people have called just with support, whether they've sent us equipment or whether they have offered funding for anyone that wants to go to the academy.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So with that, what you were just sharing there, how can somebody else get involved in, you know, either contacting you or what do they need to do if they're wanting to get involved and support?
So I can always be reached at hillg@lincolnu.edu or just stop by my office at 900 Lefty Boulevard, Suite C. And so what we're looking for when it comes to support, um, when we do our practical exercises, I like to get the community involved. And what I mean by that is, so we open up our practical exercises to our local actors guild and anyone who wants to volunteer time that could be a role player for our practical exercises. This is so that the recruits can get um, a realistic a realistic training outside of the classroom work, so they can put what they learned in the classroom to real life situations. And so we do this out at our Busby farm out there off of Highway 54. The farm is set up like a small little town. We have several cabins out there and a couple of classrooms, and we bring the patrol cars out there and role players, and we set up real life situations to make sure that our recruits are getting everything they need to be successful to be hired by a law enforcement agency.
That's absolutely important because you know, and obviously you know, as much as you want to create those live situations, there's always going to be tweaks and changes in different circumstances. So the better you can get them prepared, the
Yes.
I mean, they're gonna return home safely, and that's I know that's extremely important to you. I know you've got a good team, and I know you guys are very detail oriented as far as making sure that you protect the team and you're protecting the students and you're protecting the community. Maybe tell us a little
Absolutely.
bit about your team.
So our instructors, and one of the things, again, I'm very, I like to use the people who I've met along the way who helped me be who I am. I didn't just get here. I had a lot of help from a lot of people who invested in me spiritually and and mentally. So when I started putting the academy together, I went to all the agencies around this area: um, Missouri State Highway Patrol, Osage County, Callaway County, Holt Summit, Jefferson City, Callaway, Cole County, Capitol Police, and I got instructors from all of these agencies to have them be a part of our academy
Mm-hmm.
because with that kind of dynamic and getting that kind of experience from each of the different agencies, and I left out Missouri Department of Conservation. I'm sorry,
No,
but
I'm
they
sure they're fine.
so they have all of those police I just named. They have instructors, and some of those places have their own academies. So I didn't want to recreate the wheel, and I wanted dynamic instructors. I wanted instructors who I knew personally that had a good head on their shoulders and had the same philosophy in law enforcement that I have. So when I brought all these instructors together and had a conversation with them, they were all on board. And it's good to get the feedback from the classes that we've currently had graduating on which instructors they like the most and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I haven't had any negative on any of the instructors that we have teaching. And so they're all doing a wonderful job, and I hope to keep them on for the future.
That's great. You know, it takes a lot of people to make a great team. My sister came on here. She said, "Thank you for your service." So, um, I'll tell my sister thanks for supporting us on this program and thanking Gary for his service. So, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna. Hey,
Thank you.
speaking of support and teams, I'm gonna go ahead and bring on our sponsor here real quick, and then we'll get back and I'll ask you a few more questions. This has been great and very informative, and but I've got some other things that hopefully the community will hear from you and give us a little bit more detail, a little bit more insight of what's going on. So feel
Okay.
free to take a drink, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Not everybody is an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday type. At CNS, we have employment options for the way you want to work with our flexible scheduling program. Flexible scheduling is designed to fit your lifestyle and allows you to be in control of your schedule. CNS offers insurance plans upon employment. Celebrating 45 years of staffing, CNS Business Services.
Say yes to CNS.
All right, Paula Benny and her team at CNS Business Services do such an outstanding job for the community, and I know they're very supportive of Lincoln University as well. And I just can't say enough about them. If you know anybody that needs a job, CNS Business Services, make sure you contact that team. All right, we have been talking to my friend Gary Hill. He's the police chief at Lincoln University, and we've had lots of good information from him. But Gary, I want to ask you some questions as far as community-wise and eliminating maybe some of the perceptions about Lincoln University that had been there in the past. How have you seen those things beginning to change? Because I feel like there's been a shift and that's been changing.
Yes, it's been a big shift. When I first came over to Lincoln University, I would always hear things like, it's unsafe, you can't be there after dark, and just a whole mirror of things that was going on. And so it just took me a minute to do an assessment with my staff to try to figure out what was actually going on over here at Lincoln University. So what we come to find out after we got down into the weeds of everything, that a majority of the problems that we were having on campus and the issues that were being seen in the newspaper and on TV weren't even our students. Now, granted, we have, just like any college, uh, problems with certain students. But a lot of the issues that we had, I'd say at least 85% came from some high school students, people who weren't even in school, adults, people because it was college and it was just a hangout.
Yeah.
People wanted to come over here to Lincoln University and just hang out. So what we started doing as my staff as police department is we started identifying who our problem people were, who didn't need to be on campus. We worked with Jeff Turner and the university to develop security and electronics to be able to have access only for our students and people that go to school here. We keep officers on our parking lots to ensure that if they're not going to school here, they just can't hang out in the parking lot
Hmm.
and try to meet people and things like that. Uh, Different little rules and procedures that we put in place for everyone's safety. So that's the biggest issue that we were having. We were just, so many issues were coming up with, fights every now and then and things like that, that we just really had to narrow down who's doing it. Let's not punish the whole university for a few.
Right.
Let's figure out who's doing what and get them out of here. This administrator has been very supportive as far as us being very strict on our no fighting policy. I started this when I got here. If you get into a physical fight, you're more than likely going to go to the Cole County Hotel and spend a day or a night or so there. We just had a zero tolerance for physical fighting on campus. So implementing these rules has helped us make Lincoln just a much safer place. We have to understand that the dynamics of what we have here is different. We have students from, in little bitty Jefferson City, we have students from Atlanta, Chicago, Milwaukee, East St. Louis, Kansas City, uh, Memphis, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Riverside, California, all converging here in little bitty Lincoln University. And they're used to being in these big cities.
Hmm.
And so them being used to, and some of these kids being used to big cities, oftentimes get inoculated to the violence and stuff from their big cities. And when they
Right.
get here, they're just not used to it, used to the quiet, used to things being, hey, things are pretty smooth here. And so we get together at the beginning of every semester and we talk to the freshmen and we let them know. I bring in the PD and some other agencies and even some of our judges. Judge Cotton Walker has
Hmm.
always talked to our Lincoln University students and try to explain to them this is how we live here. These are some of the things that we do here. These are the things that are not going to be accepted, that may be accepted from where you come from. So the communication process with our students and our administration, and especially our police officers, has to be something that's paramount in what we do in every semester. with the new students that come in.
You know, you had talked about all over the United States we have students coming in, but you actually have international students as well. So, you know, you're even talking about a different dynamic there. So that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when the pandemic first started, we actually had a couple of students here from China that couldn't get back home, and some of the other places where the pandemic was really bad, to where they couldn't get back home, and then we had to work with their counselors and things like that in order to get them find them places to stay or house them here on campus until they could get back to their home countries.
You know, we take a lot of things for granted, and you know, something like that when somebody's just wanting to get back home and not being able to, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. And with
Yeah.
the family atmosphere that you guys are trying to create there and being successful at, I'm sure that was a big help to them.
Oh, it is, and and not with just those students. Remember, Link University as a whole, we were founded to, give the underprivileged a chance for a college education. That's why our education is so affordable here at Link University. We oftentimes get a lot of students that have aged out of the foster care program, and they come up here to Link University, and this becomes their home, until they graduate. And so we try to make sure that we take care of them as well.
Gary, do you get involved as far as going to any of the local high schools and talking about them, career days, things like that? Have you gotten any of that going on yet?
I'm sorry, Kurt. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
My
I'm gonna I'm gonna switch you here.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear this one?
Can you hear me now, Kurt?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Okay. For some reason my phone went dead here for a second.
Oh, you're okay. You're all right.
Okay, what
What?
was your question? I'm sorry.
Okay, no, you're good. What I was wanting to know is, as far as talking to local high schools throughout mid Missouri, have you had an opportunity to do that? As far as why it might be a, a good career for some of these students as they're getting ready to get out of high school?
So no, we actually just started that kind of a process, and where we're trying to hook up with a lot of high schools to establish a pipeline for our criminal justice system and the police academy. So we're barely over a year in existence in our police academy. So we're just now getting that pipeline started.
Yeah, it's like, come on, Kirk, don't push me. Hold on, we're trying to get. Just, I'm just asking. That's all. I get it. I get it. We got to take things one thing at a time. So that's great. What's been the most rewarding thing for you so far?
The most rewarding thing for me is to see my academy students graduate and be happy with the career field they've chosen. That has been the most rewarding thing. That has been the most rewarding thing for my students. Kurt, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay, Kurt? Hello?
Are
Can
you
you
there?
hear
You
me?
okay? I can.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hey, it's
Yeah,
good.
so that has been the most rewarding, just to see the academy students graduate, and once they've graduate, to see them be employed.
Hmm.
That is, and then happy with the choice that they've made.
How many graduates did you say you have so far?
So the first class we graduated nine, last class we graduated five, and currently we have eight in this class and 24 in St. Louis.
Wow,
So we're getting ready to graduate 30, 32, 30, wait, yeah, 36 altogether.
that's great.
So, and the first graduation for Jefferson City, this class graduates on the 26th, and St. Louis class graduates on the 24th.
That is awesome, Gary. As far as these graduates, are you keeping in touch with some of them? Are they calling back, checking in, and saying, "Hey, Chief, what should we do here?"
So we've actually, a lot of them come back and talk to the academy students of each class. We've had students come back from as far as St. Louis and other areas to talk to the academy classes, just to let them know how their experience is going being hired. So we always welcome the students to come back to talk to the current academy students because it's pretty rough. It's a lot of classroom work, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them are spending a lot of time studying. And so they come back to tell the other recruits, "Hey, what you're doing is worth it."
Mm-hmm.
I hired two out of the first academy class, and they're doing really good work for us here at Lincoln University. One of the things that I didn't think that was going to happen was uh, a lot of our students are being recruited back to their hometowns, Kansas City, St.
Yeah.
Louis, and I was hoping we keep them around here, but we just have several of the St. Louis police departments leave the academy during recruitment visits. So I was kind of hoping we keep a lot of them around here, but that hasn't seemed to be the case.
Well, that's I'm glad you shared that because that was going to be my next question. And how neat is that though too, being able to come and receive that training and to graduate and then be able to go back and make a difference in their communities that they grew up in. I think that's pretty amazing.
I I think that that's the way that it should be. We have to get back in law enforcement to we have to get back into being in our communities and not just
Mhm.
riding around in our cars with the windows rolled up and the air conditioner on. We have to get back into foot patrol, and until we can get our call volumes down in law enforcement, even here at Lincoln University, until we can get our call volumes down, unfortunately, that's going to be an issue.
Mhm.
In law enforcement right now, our call volumes are so high, and law enforcement we're constantly answering calls that really we shouldn't be answering,
Mhm.
and it's just because of the way things are in society. When we're going to calls, especially when I work for the sheriff's office, when we're going to calls because a neighbor's dog did a number two in another neighbor's yard and they can't work that out, um, those are calls that an out of control 12-year-old or 11-year-old and things like that
Yeah.
that we shouldn't be answering, and that's why our call volume is so high.
Yeah.
We're just in law enforcement now. We're just answering a whole lot of calls that we shouldn't be. Society is putting a lot on our shoulders, and we're starting to finally feel it. There's the reason why a lot of people are getting out of law enforcement, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, the media bias as far as some of the news stuff that's out there isn't doing us any favors as
No.
well. Um, what I always try to tell our recruits right now, what we're experiencing is what you see on TV doesn't even register and shouldn't register, with the exception of some of the incidences that have happened. But you got to remember, we make contact with millions of people daily. Law
Mhm.
enforcement officers do millions of people daily without incident. And so we need to start focusing a little bit more on the positive stuff that's going on that law enforcement is doing, and not just the negative. And
Right.
that's what you focus on. That's what we've been trying to push in our academies.
Well, Gary, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to have you come on here too. Again, is to just be able to talk about just what you just said, the uh, the need for what you do, and the understanding that people need to have as far as being able to trust our law enforcement to be able to allow you guys to be able to do your job. Because not only are you trying to protect the lives of others and to maintain peace, but you also have families to go home to, and you need to
Yes.
protect yourselves as well. And sadly, occasionally there is somebody that might be a bad apple, but think about how many different people you guys are dealing with on a daily basis. That it could be a very highly intense situation, and you've got to be prepared to do whatever you have to do to protect yourselves as far as that, and as well as people around you.
Exactly. So what I like to tell people when it comes to that, Kurt, is this. You know, think about Christmas and Thanksgiving, and think about that relative that you hope doesn't show up to Christmas and Thanksgiving because every time they do, that there's drama. That's the person that we're dealing with from everyone's family as law enforcement and community on a daily basis. That particular person. There aren't no new people going to jail. The same people are going to jail over and over again, and it's usually because of sometimes it's whether it's mental issues or it's the capacity to not be able to control themselves and their urges and things like that. But usually it's the same people going to jail every day. There's 850,000 uniformed law enforcement officers in the United States. 850,000
Wow.
policing 300 million people.
Yeah, and that the
So the
ridiculous.
numbers don't even doesn't even add up on that, as far as the how well of a job we're doing, and not to mention we have some good people living here. I mean, and granted, like I said, we constantly see, through social media and other things like that, just the worst that society has to offer. But if you ever get off of that, get out of the news and stuff, and just go outside and look out the window, you'd be surprised on who you see holding the door for someone, pushing someone's car out of the road, just doing something nice, and it happens all the time. And again, and we have to start focusing on that, and that's what we have been pushing for our law enforcement agencies around. And the one thing that I would like to say to everyone is, don't support law enforcement blindly.
Right.
Hold us accountable. We have to be held accountable for our actions because ultimately we work for you all. And being a post commissioner, I'm on the post commission and a governor appointed post commission. And post does a lot of investigations on law enforcement officers, to where when they have some sort of wrongdoing, or committed a crime, they get their license pulled. And you have to have a license to be able to be a police officer in the state of Missouri.
Hmm.
And that information can be found on Post's website as well, as far as how we police one another. And I know, there are oftentimes, a lot of the community members feel that good cops don't speak out, about the bad cops and call bad cops out, but we do.
Right.
And we do. And we oftentimes want people to know that. And we want you to know that Post is doing investigations and holding people accountable for their actions.
That's great, Gary. Is there anywhere else that people can go to get additional information or if they have questions?
Yeah. So just like with anything, if you have a question about what your law enforcement agency is doing, you should always go talk to the chief. Most chiefs, just about all the chiefs I know, have open door policies, to where whether it's a complaint or where you think that we can do some things better, or if you just want to see us out and about a little bit more and that where we need to be patrolling. Uh, again, uh, we solve crimes because people tell us stuff, not because we're smart. We don't learn everything in the academy, but we're able to solve crimes and make our community safer because we listen to our community. So if anyone, ever wants more information about us, some of us have websites, but most, I would always say, go talk to the head of your agency
Hmm.
that's responsible for policing your community. Get to know them. People always want the law enforcement officers to, we don't know who any of your cops are, and we always say, well, have you came in to see us, have you taken a minute to stop us to say hi, to see how our day is going? Because I know we go into the businesses and gas stations and we do walks and things like that and go to a lot of town hall meetings, but it has to be a partnership between us and the
Right.
community, because oftentimes we're doing so much that we forget what our community needs from us because we don't ask.
Yeah. Man, you've given us lots of good stuff. I want to just finish with one final question. What's lying ahead? What's ahead for you?
Oh, so, again, establishing some more police academies at other HBCUs around the nation. That is, a big issue. One of the things that's going on for Lincoln University, we haven't had our first meeting, but I'm working with, Chief Scoville here at Jefferson City, Fire Department. We're trying to, and some of the other, uh, agencies around here, we're wanting to open up an EMT program for Lincoln University students and our community as well, next door to the police academy. We're trying to mirror it the same way that we're doing our police academy, to where you get college credits up under our wellness program and get your EMT certification as well. And we're trying to do that program so that people will want to go on and be able to get their degree in wellness, and still be able to work as an EMT. And so we're just in the, infancy stages of this program, but man, we have a lot of people, that are interested in helping in this, including Capital Region, Cole County EMS, Jefferson City Fire Department, of course, Lincoln University. It would be housed on our university. And so next door we're trying to make that kind of a public safety hub right there where we have, our police academy. And so, the
Right.
good thing about it is Dr. Mosley, man, he's really great to work with. I love a leader that's a visionary that says, if you can come up with an idea and put it on paper and we can look at it and we can financially support it and it's not going to cause strain upon the university to be able to run with it. And he's that guy. So I really appreciate that because sometimes I come up with some pretty outlandish ideas.
Well, you know what? Sometimes those outlandish ideas they hit the mark, and you have definitely had some ideas that have hit the mark for not only Lincoln University and for our community, but all throughout the United States. Thank you so much for everything that you've done, Gary, and it's an honor to know you. Um, Great thing to do, Gary. That's by Patty Barnhart McFeeder. Patty's a faithful watcher of the program, and I just echo that, Patty. Great man,
Thank you.
does a lot of good things.
Thank you,
So
Patty.
I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and hey, just we appreciate you. If we can ever be of any help on the program here, we'd be more than happy to give you an opportunity to share what's going on. And the only other thing I want to add is if I happen to be in the Sports Locker magazine car on campus and I'm parked and I'm dropping off magazines, please don't think I'm loitering. I'm dropping them off.
You'll be fine, but we will stop you and check and make sure you don't have any warrants.
Okay. That's great. Gary, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and close out the program with you and I here, and then we just appreciate everybody watching. Gary, if you can hold on for just a moment after we close out. Guys, you've been watching Sports Locker Magazine, a Sports Locker Magazine Extra, One Nation. It's been an honor to be able to speak with my friend Gary Hill tonight, Chief Gary Hill at Lincoln University. Please make sure that you communicate with our local law enforcement if you have questions or suggestions, just like he said. We appreciate you guys watching the program tonight. God bless you, and we will see you next week.